This movie made me wondering, how would a Last of Us with apes look like? Hello my brothers and sisters, my name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of War for the Planets of the Apes. So War for the Planets of the Apes, or should we just call it War for now on, it's easier to say. So War is actually the third in the new Planets of the Apes trilogy, and he kind of just explains the events that lead up to the apes taking over the world. Now what we have is that Caesar and his colony is desperately defending themselves because they knew from the last movie that there was a signal sent to a military base and they are now coming for them to hunt them down. And all Caesar wants is just to live in peace and have nothing else to do with the humans, but they keep attacking him, so he needs to keep defending himself. And he has now become this notorious evil monkey. If you see it from the human's perspective, if you see it from the ape's perspective, then he is actually a kind leader. So you have this military group led by Woody Harrelson, who is intense as fuck. I mean, he rarely yells at any point, but anytime he's in a scene, you just feel uncertain because he radiates this power and control over any situation. He might not be the best soldier in the world, but he has a mission and he wants to see it through to the end, and it might not be the mission that you thought it would be. I didn't think it. Now I could explain what happens in the beginning, but I think this movie is so brilliantly told that it will spoil it. But I will say this: something happens, and now Caesar and Morris and Rocket. This is Morris, you probably know from the former movies, and this is Rocket. I can't remember if you have seen him before. Might have, but yeah, sorry. But they follow Caesar in the hunt for this colonel, Woody Harrelson's character, to end it once and for all. And this leads to an interesting movie, because the thing is that you see the title War for the Planets of the Apes, and you immediately think this is gonna be an epic battle. Like the Dawn of the Planets of the Apes, the last battle in that movie, it was gritty, it was epic, there was more than one. There was a time where Kobo, he took over the city, and then there was the final fight, and there was a lot of battles in that. It was a drama, yes, but it was a lot of fighting. And War for the Planets of the Apes title indicate that this is gonna be the epic battle, the humans' last stand to defend the world from the apes. Because if they lose, as Woody Harrelson's character says, it will be a planet of apes. However, the amount of action in this movie is bar to none. Now this is not a bad thing, but again, in my head, when I saw the title, it was more like kill them! I mean, for fuck's sake, we saw monkeys riding horses into battle in the last one. How epic is that? I mean, come on. And yes, they do ride horses in this movie, but it's not into battle. Despite the fact that there's not that much fighting and the war aspect is a bit different. I will touch upon that later in the review. This movie is a drama, but it is a fantastic drama. I mean, holy fuck. If more movies made drama like this, I probably wouldn't have that much to complain about. First of all, one of the interesting aspects of this movie is that there are apes on the opposing side of the battle. I mean, with the humans. That's brought up an interesting aspect, because you have to think about it. Some apes might not see the humans as bad because all they're doing is trying to fight for survival, and so are these apes, and they can see that they are on a losing side, so of course they want to join the humans. However, However, that's not quite the deal here. The thing is that they joined the humans because they were followers of Koba. But Koba didn't like the humans. You see what I'm going at here? I mean, and this is an extreme scenario, but that would be like the Starks are grouping up with the Boltons because they want to fuck all the Lannisters. I mean, it's Game of Thrones season, what do you expect? I mean, come on. However, they looked up to Koba, and now they just want Caesar dead because he's the one who killed him in the last movie. So it kind of makes sense, but it does bring in some interesting confrontations between Caesar's group and these apes, because they see each other as traitors, and yet there's still something deeper bonds race-wise. It is them against the humans, no matter how you cut it. Now, Caesar didn't want this war, but he sure as hell wants to finish it. We also get to know this girl who Maurice takes with him. The interesting thing is that not only did she act well, she wasn't something that held the movie back, which is often the case with child actors, I must say. She is a vital plot point, not only because that she helps Caesar and his group out from time to time, but there's something important about her. And it's not like she is the prophet child or anything. However, I like the fact that they didn't brought her in just to humanize Caesar and see, look, there's some humans that are good. Even though a lot of them are bad, there's still a human side to them. The military bad ones doesn't reflect the whole race of humans. Even if that is some of her functionality in the movie, that is not the main point. And I like that. I like that because otherwise it would just be a cliche at this point because we have seen it so many times before. So props to you, movie. Props to you. And then they meet the Bad Ape and... Listen, when I saw Bad Ape, if you're wondering, he's a Sioux ape. But when I saw him, I looked at the screen. I just couldn't help myself. Just awe. Just how much they looked like real apes. If you look at the first movie, the graphics or the CGI in that movie wasn't impressive even at the time. Some might say, well, the motion performances was brilliant, and yes, they were, and Andy Serkis did a fine job, but for fuck's sake, it looks like CGI. I mean, it was not that well put into the movie with lighting, not even for the time. I mean, we have had David Jones at the time. We even had, I believe, Avatar at the time. We have been shown how impressive computer graphics put over motion performance could be, but it didn't hold up. Then we had the second movie where they upped their game, and I have a feeling, I mean, I could research the fucking thing, but no, I'm a theory man. I have a theory that they just showed how profitable this new franchise could be. So they said, well, fuck it, we need to throw more money at it. Come on, make it more real, make it more real. And now here at the third, I mean, the second was a huge success. So now they really want to, I believe, show off. But they look like real. Let me say at this point, there was at no time that I thought that Caesar and his group looked computer generated. It actually looked like that they had monkeys and somehow made them talk. That is impressive. But yeah, they meet this Bad Ape, and for a second you think, shit, he's gonna be an annoying piece. He's gonna be the Jar Jar of this movie. However, he was actually funny, and I think the reason for that is not only is he kind of innocent in his behavior, there is some slapstick comedy around him. However, it is what you connect with monkeys and apes. The way he does things is what you will picture a monkey or an ape do. And that made it funny. It was not that, poopy fart jokes and what you have become used to in those stupid characters. No, it was intelligent humor. I liked it. I laughed out loud a lot of times. Now, before I get to the final fight and the title, as well as my gripes, I have to touch on one thing. Give Andy Serkis his fucking Oscar already. I mean, here's the thing. When Lord of the Rings came out and motion capture was booming through, it was called motion capture because directors and the movie studios used this to capture movements. That's why it's called motion capture, of course. And not as much the face. They do use some of the faces, but often the animators would, use them as reference and then add their own animation to it. However, in recent days, or years. The technology has pushed itself so far that they are now having a camera pointing at all times at the actor's face to capture all of their facial performance as well as their bodily performance. It's also become so advanced that they're using their actual face to map exactly on the CGI character that they want, so they're not animating that person anymore, which is why it is now called, if you ask Andy Serkis, that is not motion capture but performance capture. And that means that what you see on the screen is how the actor acted out that character. And holy shit, does he not only make Caesar real and a complex character, but he makes him so that you feel for him. And whenever Caesar is in a bad time, and believe me, he's in a bad time in this movie, it is his lowest point. And I mean, he was in some bad shit in the first movie with the whole uprising he did from that prison he was in. But anytime that he is in his lowest point, you feel for him. And Woody Harrelson's character is just such a great opposing threat, not because you think that he can wipe them all out, but it is ideology and you see where he comes from. And that's the best villains. It's not villains that are just power hungry or want to take over the world or just bad. It's someone who you can sympathize with, or at least see where the mindsets come from. And you do that with Woody Harrelson. Now, me personally, I don't think I would have done the exact same thing that he did, because I'm not that much convinced or, I don't know, cruel. But when he's talking about why he does what he do, it makes sense, and you just kind of go, makes sense. Yep, yeah, we're gonna wipe them all out. That, I see you, I get you. And when he and Caesar talks, there's a lot of tension there, and you can feel the hate and wrath from both of them, and they make sense, and it makes the scene interesting. It's not like they fight with words and ideologies, actually, and that's all you see until you get to the final battle, of course. But just all the emotion and the heavy burden on Caesar's shoulders, and just the way he is portrayed by Andy Serkis, just for fuck's sake, give that man an Oscar. I think it is stupid then when you have people that doing as much, if not more, work than actors on a real set not could get a reward for all the hard doing. And I know that the Oscars, who gives a shit? It's just, corrupt and all that thing. And what is important to him is our gratitude towards him. But I want to see him with an Oscar, man. Give him one. Alright, I just got sidetracked a lot there, but I mean, Leo got his Oscar, so we need, a new one we need to push forward. So I think Andy Serkis is the one. So what you end up with is, you end up with this, I believe, battle there is, where something happens but not that a lot, and you again wonder why the title War for the Planets of the Apes, but it does make sense if you think about it. Now I'll try to explain it as best I can without spoiling anything, because I can't really talk much about this movie, especially the ending, without giving away the whole plotline. But here's the thing. What we know from the former movie is that the humans is almost wiped out. And something happens in this movie that make the human situation even worse. And it's no longer a battle between human and apes as such, that is a battle for the survival. Whoever survive this new threat will be the dominant species of the planet. So if the humans doesn't survive this, I believe, movie, then it will be a planet of apes. If the human survives and the apes doesn't, then it will again be a planet of men. And I think that's the why it is called War for the Planets of the Apes. But I believe Survival for the Planets of the Apes, or actually even Dawn would be a better title for this one, and War would be a better title for the former one, if you ask me. But the title could have been better or different. There's not much war as it is a fight. And not a fight between the species, but just a fight for survival in general. So, Survival of the Planets of Apes? I don't know. I mean, it is hard to come up with these titles. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer to not see an actual war between these two races, instead of just a fight for survival. However, I liked the movie as a whole because it was different. It wasn't just, the final battle between the two races. Who will win? Who will dominate the planet? No, it is a much different movie. There is one word for it, but again, if I say the word, I will spoil the whole movie, so I won't. But if you can guess it, comment down below, and if it's no longer considered a spoiler, then I will leave your comment there. However, what don't I like about this movie? Well, first of all, the final battle. Now, I like the way they took it, but there wasn't a lot of the war aspect to it. Also, I don't think that Woody Harrelson's character was used too well. I mean, he was used great, but there's just something missing, especially when you think about how Gary Oldman's character was portrayed in the former movie. I would have loved to see more of that with Woody Harrelson's character. See more sides of him instead of just this man on a mission to save his race. Maybe give something more to his backstory. Now, I don't need everything, but yeah, I could use a lot more. And then another thing is that in the beginning, that something happens that actually set this whole movie in motion, but it just happens so fast, and there's something happens to some of the characters that's, when you look at the former movie and the character arc in that one, you just go, kind of a waste. However, no matter how you look at it, this is a masterfully crafted movie. A lot of the time in the middle section it slows down, but it slows down for a good reason. It's character development and character definition of all these different characters. Oh shit, I almost forgot. Rocket. Holy fuck, Rocket. I mean, I have seen a lot of badass characters coming out of nowhere and carrying the group, being the MVP. But this dude has, I don't even know how he walks around. He has balls that big. I mean, he gets beaten up by a gorilla at some point, and that gorilla goes to town on that son of a bitch. But he just, afterwards, just stands up, looks and sees it, and go, so, what are we doing? You just got beaten to a pulp by a gorilla, man. But yeah, he blew my mind. Every time he was on screen, I was just cheering for him. I mean, that's some spirit there. But yeah, what you end up with is a masterful crafted movie that slows down, but slows down for a good reason. And there's no time, not for me personally, that I was looking at my clock and just go, come on, can we get some more interesting things? Come on, I'll speed this up, man. Not at all. All of it was interesting and engaging, and when things pick up at the points, it picks up, but not in the way that you thought when you look at the title, but it's just intense and interesting, and it's a nice change of pace. And the funny thing is that I kind of expected it when I look at the former movie and how great a drama that one was. They really showcase emotions and complexities in personas better than a lot of movie I've ever seen, and it holds a tight grip on me from beginning to end. And even the slow paces I enjoy because the way they were told, and the fast paces were with the sound effects a lot tense, because you never know if the characters you care about were gonna get off in the next scene. That's the kind of movie they made. And the ending is, I believe, quite good, because it really sets up the future of the franchise well, if you know the old franchise. I don't know if they're gonna make more movies in this series. Personally, I don't care, because it ends the way I wanted it to end. But if they do, I do see where they want to go with it. This movie is probably one of the best movies I've seen this year. There's no way around it. War for the Planet of the Apes is an epic masterpiece. So, War for the Planet of the Apes, have you seen it? Whatever you think, comment below and read your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Even you, Brutus, my son. No, that's the wrong Caesar. Shit.